The top performers are proudly sponsored by Warrington Wolves Supporters Trust Squad Builder. Here are your top performers from round number 14 of the Betfred Super League. The most tries this week came from Kyle Fells at the Salford Community Stadium. He got 4. Whilst the most assists came from his fullback, Tristan Saylor, also with 4 assists. The top metre maker of the round was Liam Marshall of the Wigan Warriors, 193 metres. Whilst the most tackleables came from Jesse Sue and Jack Farriman, both with 8 for KR and Wigan, respectively. The most clean breaks came from Riley Lord of the Leeds Rhinos and Carl Felt again of St Helens, they got 4. Whilst the most metres made down the middle, the hard ones of course, was Mike McMeekin, 163 for the Trin. The top tackler was Zach Wolford of Huddersfield Giants, 47 at Dewsbury. Whilst the most goal kicks came from Artem Orm of Hull KR with 10. These are your top performers from round number 14. This production comes to you in association with the Bluebell Warrington. Situated in an 18th century building in the town centre and just a 5-minute walk from the HJ Stadium, the Bluebell is the perfect destination for pre- and post-game food and drink. The 2024 Warrington Pub of the Year is now the official home of Super League Raw on Warrington Wolves match days for both home and away supporters. Super League Raw are delighted to have agreed a members-only area, allowing our community to come together to discuss rugby league pre- and post-match. So set your course to the Bluebell Warrington on match days and beyond. You are sure to be greeted with a warm welcome and a cold beer. Super League Raw and the Bluebell, the perfect partnership in enhancing your match day experience. So good evening and welcome to Super League Raw Weekly. Yes, it's a Wednesday, but the time is the same, 8 p.m. You can't beat a bit of weekly. With me tonight, Steph and Greg. Apologies from Joel. It's his anniversary and he's got his house in order. He's wining and dining Mrs. Scholes this evening, gentlemen. We send them our very best and maybe a candle or two.
Yeah, and some Wi-Fi.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's hope that they communicate not over Wi-Fi. That way it's not. Anyway, but that's another story. No, but we wish the Scholes is very all of our love and best wishes on their anniversary. And of course, Greg, myself, you will have his company at the weekend. Loads to get through tonight. There you go, Action for Alfie. We're still raising money. That doesn't go away. Let's do. Just visit Action for Alfie, scan that QR code. Lovely young boy living bravely with a version of muscular dystrophy. We've already managed to give him some wonderful memories to share with his family. The more money we raise for the little man, the more memories that family can have. That's what Rugby League does really, really well. So please go to Action for Alfie on GoFundMe, or you can do the QR code. And even if it's just a couple of quid, it doesn't matter. It really, really doesn't. You can play a big part in making sure that that young man has some wonderful, wonderful memories, and of course the family as well. Right, let's say a few good evenings. Of course, Baz at Kingston with us, Craig Forth, Alan Reeves, they're all flowing in. Phil Webster, Tina Hall, AOT, Paul Boardman, Dawn Baker, hello Dawn, Bill Webster's with us, Nigel Bennett, all the usual crew, and Deb Hasty is with us this evening. Hello there, Deb. Hope you're well. We'll get into some Super League Raw news a little bit later on in the show. We've got a packed show this evening. Before we go into hanging or banging, and because, of course, we're changing the format of Super League Weekly just a little bit, we're not getting as much into the predictions because, of course, we've got Captain's Run for you on a Thursday. So, we're glossing over that. Gives us a little bit of extra time. So what I thought we'd do tonight, which is a little bit different, we haven't done this before, and I actually put it out on the page holder on our YouTube channel, was when you actually look at the league table this season, and as I say that for some reason, it would appear that I've got rid of it, which is marvellous. But I'll tell you what I can do. Here we go. Live TV. You can't beat it, can you? Here we go, boys. Bang. Here she comes. There you are. Fantastic. Let's just whack that in there. I don't know where Steph's gone. We'll bring him back. Boom. There he is. Right. Okay, cool. I brought the league table up. And I brought the league table up for a reason. Okay, so obviously we know that the Robins, the Warriors are in great position in the league. They're first and second. The Rhinos are looking every inch a playoff team this year. The Leopards looking very comfortable there. 19 points to Saints 16. If Leeds were to win this weekend, and the Leopards were to win, that cushion could get even bigger for the Leopards. So, like I say, the top four are looking pretty good. I think once we get to 5 and below, then there might be a little bit of a juggling there for places between 4 teams. Saints, FC, Trinity, and the Wolves. Now, of those teams, Saints, perhaps at the start of the season, many would have thought, yeah, possible, top 6 side. And of course, Warrington, many would have had Warrington in the top 3. So for what we do tonight, and I put it on there, are Warrington on the brink of extinction 2025? It's an interesting point. So let's get into a bit of a debate about this in terms of Warrington's plight and where they are this season. Starting with this graphic, so far so average in Super League. The last 3 seasons after 14 games. So for those listening on the podcast, in 2023, Warrington was second with 20 points. This was the Darryl Powell year. They'd scored 347 points, conceded 229. They had a point positive of 118. In Burgess's first season last year, they were 4th at this point. They'd got 18 points. Their attack was still good at 3-3-4, but defensively was where we saw a massive improvement at Warrington last season. 195 after 14 games, a positive 139. Then you come to this year. They're 8th. They've got 12 points. That's 6 below last year and 8 below the year before. They've scored 258 points, which is their lowest by a comfortable margin in the 3 years that we're looking at. And their defence is the worst it's been in the last 3 years. Again, and a massive change on last year, 150-point difference swing in conceding year on year. So they're minus 87. So we'll start with Greg. Greg, what do you make of that? As a Warrington fan, so I've put there so far so average. We'll get into recruitment and injuries and other things in a minute, but just basically what that is telling you. Your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, it's quite startling, isn't it? The difference between this year and last year. I think the interesting thing is the 2023 one, because although we were second, we had lost quite a few games. We'd had that great start, 7-8 on the bounce, straight wins. And then by this point, we were starting to lose games, and we all know what happened after that. So, yes, it's not where we'd like to be. I think, we're going to talk about recruitment, etc. in a little while. It's not where we'd like to be at this moment in time. But we have got time to reverse the trend of 2023. And if we can go on a run of wins, I think, are we the only team that's not played Salford yet?
Correct. Played them twice. We'll get into the fixtures in a moment. You're spot on.
Yeah, Saints will have played them 3 times. I think Saints play them again in 2 weeks.
They do, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So, there are certain teams that we haven't played at the moment. Other teams have. Yes, our defence is a concern. It really is. That was plain to see in the second half at Leeds on Saturday evening that the defence does need some work. But yeah, I think it is. I'm not saying it's worrying. It's of a concern that we do need to start turning things around fairly soon if we want to get in the top six.
Steph, obviously we spoke, about Warrington's plight in the league this year, and of course we spoke about Lee and the fact that Lee had a slow start in 24, and of course they made the playoffs. Warrington, it's still to play for at this stage, but I think from your perspective, that 345 in defence is probably the most startling stat of all of them on that screen, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's a massive concern. Especially after all the good work that Burgess did last year in terms of the defence. You can see there was a great turnaround, and they looked. It's only a 30-point difference or whatever from the previous year, but you've got to remember they had those 9 wins or whatever it was under Powell for the stats we're using here. So, but defensively, Warrington looked a much better side last year, and it shocked me. I hadn't realised how many points they had conceded. We talked about what Lee did last year in terms of going on that run. The big difference for me is that Lee were under the Kosh injuries right at the beginning of the season. They had 4 of the 5 Dream Team players out. Lee got healthier as the season went on before losing Asiata towards the end of the season. For me, Warrington's not got that. In fact, it's gone worse with Lindop's injury now with his ACL. You've got Dufty out injured at the moment.
We'll come to that.
Etc. So for me, it's not impossible, but it's getting close to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll come on to the fixtures in a bit. Good evening to Carla. It's perfectly fine. You get your vino. Settle in, Carla. You've had a very, very busy day. Right. Okay. Now, look, that is what it is. There's nothing you can do about that. That is set in stone. That is where Warrington currently are. Before we go on to where they currently sit in terms of personnel, recruitment, Greg, the recruitment at Warrington in the close season really come back to bite them. Obviously, Ollie Leyland out with a knee injury now, but he weren't pulling up any trees when he was in the squad. Dan Russell has been, dare I say it, very underwhelming. Obviously gone to Salford now. Alfie Johnson is a union convert, a Sevens union convert. He's got something about him. Whether he's a top Super League player, big question. But I'm not as filthy about that one because I think I've seen enough of Johnson to say he's worth a punt. It might be a medium to long-term project, but there could be a rugby league player in him. So I think that, and he's probably not cost an awful lot either, if truth be told. So I think I can sort of see that. But what it's meant is, and of course injuries have played a part in this, the 2 best signings they've made have been during the season, and both as a result of where they find themselves. Sneed, without doubt, pretty much very nearly took Warrington to a Challenge Cup win, no doubt. Lansdowne Trophy winner, and in the weekend against Leeds, first half, I think Warrington would have conceded a lot of points had it not been for Sneed's exceptional kicking in the first half, kept Leeds back. And of course, it's been announced in the last 24 hours that as part of that deal of Tom Whitehead and Dan Russell moving across to Salford, that Sam Stone comes in that gives them options in the second row positions. Is recruitment one of the key? And again, you've got to question who's made the decisions. We've said this about Saints. Rush seems to be the person that makes those decisions. Who's making the recruitment decisions at Warrington? Did Sam want them 3 players? It just doesn't look right from the outside looking in that they're fighting fires now, aren't they?
Yeah. We've got a director of rugby league, and I'm not going to put the blame or cast aspersions anywhere with recruitment because I simply don't know who's responsible for it. But you think there would be a very, very lengthy conversation at some point. I think we lost Matthew Nicholson, and we brought in Bateman, and then Bateman went back. So we lost Nicholson and Bateman basically. No, we didn't know a lot about Dan Russell. He was a PNG international. I think he played a few internationals for PNG. So we didn't know a lot about him. Ollie Leyland did very, very well, and his signing was greeted as a welcome one when we announced late towards the end of the season that Ollie Leyland would be joining us for this year. As you say, the other one is worth a punt, is worth a project, maybe. But yes, Sneed and Stone coming are I wouldn't say panic. They've realised that there needs to be a bit more going forward. We've lost Leyland through injury, and we've not got Leon Hayes, so we needed a halfback solution. Mark Sneed, wow, what a halfback solution that is! The guy's class. So yeah, it depends at the time who's available and who's going where and who's offering contracts. We don't know the minutiae of what's going on behind the scenes. We made it quite clear that we were after Knight from Hull, and he signed at Hull. We were after Sam Stone before the season started, apparently, and injury curtailed that. And now we've got him. The one I think I'm disappointed in is Tom Whitehead. I think, and I'm going to use the word, he's got potential, that lad. And I'm disappointed that he is, not that he's gone to Salford on loan, but that by all accounts he's been signed by Hull KR from next season on a full-time basis. So, I think we're not privy to these conversations. Somewhere along the line, recruitment hasn't been brilliant for this season. When all told, I said in the chat I can't use Salford as an excuse, so I'm not using Salford as an excuse. Just saying, that.
Hang on, that's fact. That's fact. I mean, at the end of the day, teams that have played Salford, and Matt. Sorry, Matt, to say this, but I've got to be very, respectful that Matty Timms is watching. He's a Salford fan.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt Matty's feelings or Salford feelings, but look, facts are facts. Teams that have played Salford twice, Saints will play him 3 times. That's a massive bearing thus far in the season. And to say it's not, same as playing Castleford and Huddersfield early in the season. Those who had Castleford and Huddersfield earlier in the season have had a result because they're getting stronger. So these are facts. Let's keep it factual. Let's not be silly. I think that, they're important points to make. Steph, recruitment. I mean, look, Saints, Sailor would fall into this category. I think quite a few teams this year, the recruitment has been, perhaps hasn't turned out right. FC's turned out right early doors. Now it's starting to bite them. The injuries that we expected could hit Asiar to have. You, on the other hand, and Lee, pull some right rabbits out the hat. Ethan O'Neill, Tessie New. And when you factor in, these players that have been found by other clubs that have hit the ground running and look real quality Super League players, and you look at the 3 people that Warrington brought in, did Warrington miss a trick in the off-season? Should they have got better standard of player than the one that they brought in?
Yeah, and it's quite easy to say with hindsight, and I wouldn't underestimate how difficult it is to recruit players into the Super League competition. You're going after ones that are unrecognised or Queensland Cup players a lot of the times, rather than NRL players, or they're coming to the end of their NRL career, and that's a gamble as well. So it's not an easy task. I mean, if you can hit 2 out of 4 signings, you're doing pretty well as someone who's recruited as a director of rugby or as a head coach. I'm going to be quite scathing on Warrington's recruitment for a very good reason. And again, this is all with hindsight now, looking back on it. But can you see any of the clubs in the top 6 at the moment signing any of those players that Warrington signed? Because I can't think of one that they would have picked up. Dan Russell's probably the only one someone may have took a punt on. Ollie Leyland, he had a really good season at London, but was he ever going to be the answer for Warrington? I don't think he was.
Just on that then, did Warrington get overconfident based on last year's performance?
Potentially, yeah. I think the biggest thing that's happened with Warrington is losing Nicholson, because he was outstanding for you last year. And this is where probably defence comes into it as well. It's a massive hole to fill. And I know you brought in Yates as well into the team at 13, but it was a big hole to fill, and you haven't done it. You haven't filled that hole, I don't think. What I would say though is bringing Mark Sneed in for Warrington has been a genius move, because he can teach Leon Hayes a lot. You've already got your answer in Leon Hayes. Mark Sneed can be a mentor for him for the next season and a half and do a really good job, better than most can do in Super League for the next 1.5 seasons. So that's a great signing for Warrington in their circumstances. And then also Sam Stone. I would have loved Sam Stone back at Lee. I think he's a fantastic second rower. And I think that's going to be a really good one that maybe kind of fills that void by Nicholson a little bit for me, especially defensively, because he's a very good player, and I was very impressed with him in his stint at Lee. But from going back to the original point, I think there is a problem with Warrington's recruitment at the moment, and that is something that needs addressing when you've got someone like Sam Burgess in. If he's not having the say in it and it is somebody else, then I would potentially be saying to Sam, you need to start making these decisions on recruitment and get some more NRL knowledge in from your days over there.
Well, I mean, there's some great comments in the chat. Alex Sharp saying that, Wigan didn't bring anybody. They brought the Oldham lad in, obviously, that was it. And they've got worse year on year in terms of defence. And you're right, I think, we've seen this in all sports. If you stand still, you get overtook. And I think that there's a degree of that. Warrington decided to stand still. They had a lot of confidence in the squad from last year. And who wouldn't, top attack and top defence in terms of points scored and points conceded. But it's bit him. Now, the problem that Warrington have got, yes, Sam Stone has come in. But this is a big problem. And look, I've got to give credit to Sam Burgess in his post-match and his pre-match press conferences, because he hasn't made a big thing of this. He's got a next man up mentality. You don't really hear him talk about it. But the facts of the matter are the facts of the matter. And, they're going into this second half of the season with Matt Duffy, who is going to be out for another couple of weeks with his eye injury. No Matty Ashton. It's been announced today that Lindop's now gone as well. Kai Taylor-Ray is about 5, 6, maybe 7 weeks out. Danny Walker, probably August at best, but again, how fit, etc., etc. Leon Hayes, he's back in training, but again, no definitive time on when he's coming back. And the point here is, when you look across that, it's your starting fullback. It's I believe the best winger in Super League. I don't care what anybody says. On his day, Matty Ashton's the best in Super League. Warrington Wolves number 7. They were going into this season with Leon Hayes at 7. That's what they were going into the season with. They're starting 9. Now, you also factor into that, they've had Williams gone as well for periods of the season. That's the spine of your team. So Warrington are in the position they're in because the spine of the team has been severely hindered. Any team that loses their spine is going to be in trouble. That's why they're in trouble. And what they've done is they have sacrificed, Matty Ashton being a case in point potentially, to get a Challenge Cup run. Yeah. So they've done well in the Challenge Cup because they've been working towards the Challenge Cup, but it's come at a cost in the league. Now all bets are off. It's league or bust. And I don't think anybody expects Warrington to win a grand final. If they did, dear me. I mean, of all the opportunities Warrington's had to win a grand final, this one would be like Lazarus. I mean, it'd be unbelievable if after this season they managed to do it. But that, Greg, is one hell of a line of players that have had long-term injuries. And again, the fullback position, Kai Taylor-Ray's backup fullback for Duffy, and he went down as well. So there's no doubt about it. They've done it tough. They've had to manage the squad, but they're going in trying to find points to get into a playoff spot with a lot of talent sitting on the bench.
Oh, mate, I agree totally. Yeah, and I would argue that if we'd have had Ashton and Walker at Wembley, we'd have won that game. It was right for those two to take that game by the neck. People might disagree with me on the chat, but I think if we'd have had Ashton and Walker, we'd have won that game. I mean, I want to give a big rap to Josh Dewlis because his display at fullback against Leeds, especially in the first half when they were peppering, was superb on Saturday. He was one of the bright points to come out of that game, Dewlis at fullback. But yeah, the injury, the amount of ACLs has got to be a concern. There's a lot of chat on social media about what the cause is of this. Is there a root cause to it? I think it's just bad luck. Sometimes you get these injuries that go through the squad and there's no reason behind it. It's just bad luck. But going back to what you say, those players there, Ashton, Duffy, now Lindop, who knows what Ollie Leyland could have done? Who knows what Leon Hayes could have done? And Danny Walker. And we've had other players out injured. We'd have Ratchford, has been a great player and has done, actually done a really, really good job when he's been called on this season. But the injuries are a huge concern and are one of the major reasons why we're sitting where we are at this moment in time, because of when the injuries have happened as well. We've just been getting some momentum and the injuries have happened. Lindop goes in the first half at Leeds. I think it was still 0-0 when Lindop, or it might have been 2-0. when Lindop got his injury on Saturday. That takes the wind out of your sails. And at certain points in the season, just when we've been coming back into the season, we've had these injuries. And, they are unfortunate. But that's the nature of the game. Every team has injuries, and sometimes teams are hit with injuries. Like Saints, where we took the mickey last season, but Saints had a hell of a lot of injuries last season. The thing that advantaged Saints was, and Leeds a couple of years before that, if you remember, that their big names came back just in time for the playoffs. They managed to secure a playoff place, and their big names came back. Saints were a drop goal away from the grand final last year, from a semi-final last year, after having a torrid season, loads of injuries. So it does impact. It does impact on your performance and where you are in the league. Injuries, there's no doubt about it.
As you're a neutral in this, I'd like Steph to respond to some of Phil Webster's comments in the chat, if that's all right, Steph. So first of all, Phil's naming the fact that, okay, I've got no Hargreaves, no Gildart, no Martin, no Burgess, no Luckley. Now, with the greatest respect, I would say Martin isn't really a starting back. No. He's depth. Luckley the same. Sorry, but Hargreaves, yeah, but we're not talking about Paul Vaughan. So for me, I think what I would concede as a Warrington fan is that the strength in depth at KR is a lot stronger than Warrington's, and that's why you managed to cope with it, which again goes back to recruitment, Phil. And Phil, your second comment, I don't know if you'd agree with this, Steph. I'm not having a go, Phil, but just saying. He's saying that would have, should have. It's a debating program, mate. If we don't do should haves, could haves, we haven't got a show. Yeah. So come on, play the game. Steph, your thoughts, mate? I mean,
just to go on there. Let's just go across the screen there in terms of from a Hull KR perspective. So Hull KR lose Morg, they lose Burgess, they lose Mikey Lewis, they lose Jez Litton, and they lose Peter Hickey. How many games are KR winning against top 6-7 sides? Not many.
Exactly.
That's most of KR's best players gone there. So that's the thing. I'm not saying that that's an exact comparison, but it's not.
Well, not just that. There was a period where Williams and Hayes were missing before Snead comes. So you're missing May and you're missing Lewis.
Absolutely. So yeah, and I know they brought Snead in as well to compensate for that, but. That's kind of the injury crash. That's probably why people aren't seeing it as much as the Wire fans see it. And it's a massive injury. It's to spine players as well, and it's not just the ones on screen like we said. It's been the other injuries. Losing your star halfback for 10 weeks or whatever it was. That's a horrendous one, and most teams will struggle with that. So it's tough. Warrington are doing it tough. And I think someone put in the chat earlier about, but the Warrington were at salary cap and what's the recruitment got to do with it? Well, the recruitment with that is if you're nearly at cap, you've got to be very careful who you invest your money in. And I'm not being funny. The Ollie Leyland would have been on a pretty decent wage. I'd have thought he'd be on a pretty good salary, and so would Dan Russell coming from PNG and a quota spot as well. So that is a Warrington recruitment problem. This is who Sam brought in or whoever at Warrington. So when you're working with very small numbers of recruitment, then it matters even more so. So that's the big thing. But most clubs would be struggling in this situation. If Lee had this injury crisis, Lee would be 10th.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. And for those who are tuning in for Super League Raw, we're doing this just go right back for the beginning, based on the fact of how the season has panned out. The top four people, I would say they're looking like proper playoff teams. And then from 5th down to Warrington, probably a little bit of game on. And Warrington have probably been second only to Catalan, I would say, the most disappointing side in Super League in the league this year in terms of where people thought they were going to be. Mm-hmm. So this is why we're talking Warrington now. We don't normally talk. Anybody who's watched this show for 4 years, no, very seldom do we do this. But for me, it is the talking point at this moment in time. This is without doubt worthy of a debate. We're halfway through the season, and Warrington are not where people thought they'd be, and we're just having a chat around it. Now, let's go to the remaining fixtures. Warrington have got to find wins. Now, the magic number is 30. 30 points. That's the magic. 28 has been enough on one season. So 30 points is the magic number. So if you do your maths there, Warrington need 9 wins out of the last 13 games. So they're the fixtures. Giants at home, FC at home, then Salford away, Dragons away, Tigers away. So then it's Lee away before Wigan at home, Dragons at home, then Giants away, Salford home, Lee home, FC away, and Robins away. So, Greg, I'm going to start with you. Let's concede straight away, maybe the Wigan KR. So now we're down. Now they're down to 11. I don't think any Warrington fan would expect to beat Wigan. Don't get me wrong, they might. It could happen. They very nearly beat KR at Wembley. But let's be sensible based on what we've seen up to now. You would expect Wigan and maybe KR to knock Warrington off. Long way off.
Yeah.
7 injuries and everything. But as things currently stand, so now they're down to 9 wins from 11. When you look at the teams that they've got to play outside of the Robins and Wigan, there is the spectre of Lee there on 2 occasions.
I was just going to say that Lee away is a tough one as well.
But if Warren have got any realistic intent, for me, they have to win the other 9. And then against Lee, as we've seen already this season, it's going to be a battle and it'll be interesting. But I think if Warrington were, and again, it's not an arrogant thing, they've got to go and win it. And do I think they'll win all of them? I don't think they will, based on what we're seeing. Yep. But if Warrington are going to make the 6, they have to win the other 9 minimum.
Oh, yeah. I think Lee away is another obstacle because it's another ground that we can't seem to win at unless it's a cup semi-final. Giants, Hull, Salford, Dragons and Tigers, we have to target wins in those 5 games. They have to be wins. Those next 5 games. And those next 5 games will tell us where we are and how the season is going to pan out, I think. Towards the end of the season, you've got to kind of take into account that we'll get Danny Walker back. We'll get Dufty back. So we'll get a couple of players back, but there's not to say that we won't get any more injuries. So it's those next 5 games to me that are the important games.
To get a roll.
They're the ones that we have to win those next 5.
Yeah.
Leading up to the league game away in round 20. We win all 5 of those games. I think that league result away becomes less significant.
Alex, mate, come on, listen. 30 points. Only one season has 28 been enough, mate. I said that. 30 points is the magic number, mate. I'm very good at maths, trust me. I used to work in finance. Steph. Go on, mate. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's very, very, very tough. How many points are Warrington on at the moment?
12.
12. So you need 9 wins. And there's how many's left now? 13?
13.
So you can only lose 4 games.
Correct. So if you concede KR and Wigan, which I think a sensible person would do, that's 11. You now need 9 from 11.
Yeah,
it's a tall order, mate.
It is, and if they did, then that would be a phenomenal achievement for me. But we've just gone through this. It's losing Lindop again is a massive one. You saw, like Greg made a great point. It was only what score was it? 2-0, 6-0, something like that before he went off. So
it was 2-0, yeah.
Yeah, he had a massive impact on the team. I wouldn't be surprised at the moment if Huddersfield beat Warrington at the weekend.
No,
but you look at how well Huddersfield played against Wigan. That'll have got them loads of confidence. They're going to be targeting. It's like shark circling, isn't it? At the moment, people can smell blood when they go and play Warrington. There's not that fear of going to Warrington at the moment because they know there's a lot of key players injured. That being said, you've still got Mark Sneeden, you've still got George Williams, and you've still got some cracking young lads that are coming into that team as well. So it is doable, but for me for the Warrington team at the moment to go on a run, I think it's unlikely. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's unlikely.
Craig saying round 23 will be interesting as the Giants will be up and running by then. I think they already are, Craig. They nearly did you, mate, the weekend. I think they already are. I mean, I think it's a massive loss, Clune. I think that's a massive loss for
right.
But hey, there you go. Look, I just felt it was worthy of a debate. I think Warrington, for me, like I said, in the titles right at the start of the show, I think they're on the brink of extinction 2025. I think it's been an interesting debate because we're having a bit more time now on weekly. If and when certain stories, rather than be clickbait, we don't do clickbait on Super League Raw, we'll have a proper debate about it. So if other things come up in the next few weeks where you think, you know what, that's going to be worthy of a real good debate, we will have it at the start of Super League Raw Weekly because we've got Captain's Run now where we can dedicate more time to the predictions. Now, let's get to other news stories in the usual way. Banging or hanging?
This is what would Oliver say at Super League Raw. This week, I want to discuss Huddersfield's performance on Saturday. I thought that against a champion side like Wigan, I think Huddersfield played excellent. I think that at a smaller stadium, the crowd got behind them and gave them a massive boost. I think out of the bottom 4 teams in Super League, I think that Huddersfield are showing the most potential, and I'm hoping that I might be able to see them climbing up the Super League table soon. I think that for me, Tarnay Mill and George Flanagan stood out for me, and I think that they were a key player in Huddersfield's defence and attack. What do you think, Super League Raw?
So what do we think, Super League Raw? What would Oliver say? First of all, what a great game it was. An absolutely outstanding game of rugby league, without doubt. So young George, of course, scored another try. Got to give him his due for that. And the other one was Tarnay Milne that got all his attention. The lad knows his rugby league. 19 carries, 123 metres from Tarnay in the game. So, happy days. Like we were just saying a moment ago, it's fair to say, Steph, I think Huddersfield, Clune's a massive loss. We'll say that again to him. I think if Clooney was going to be in the squad over the course from now to the end of the season, I think they'd have been very dangerous. We may as well go there now, actually. Frawley coming in. That, for me, is not a good substitute, Steph.
He'll do a job for them. He will do a job for them. It's better than not having him. I've never been Frawley's biggest fan, but he does have the odd game where he does impress. So it'll be interesting to see whether a lot of the things with Frawley could be the way he's been used and played with certain teams as well. So if Luke can tap into his good points, we've seen it before, haven't we? Caesar is a prime example. Okay, well, he's doing it all FC. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think Oliver made a great point in terms of the ground. I think that definitely had an impact on keeping Wigan narrow. It made the big forwards of Huddersfield, it made it a lot easier for them in that respect. But also the atmosphere as well was great. And it was a fantastic effort from Huddersfield. But that is good. They have looked better since Clune's come back, haven't they? He has had a massive impact. And to lose, we've just had to Warrington's injury crisis. Good grief, Huddersfield hold my beer, to lose Clune is just it's gutting for Huddersfield. But hopefully Frawley can come in and do a job for him, and they can still kick on from now.
Yeah, I mean, it just I think it's fair to say, Greg, that Huddersfield now are going to, I can't remember, somebody said it, I think one of the shows we were doing, where they said, whilst Huddersfield are unlikely to make the 6, they could have a massive, massive bearing on who does.
Yeah, as the phrase the kingmakers. They could be the kingmakers. There's a few teams in there that could be the kingmakers this season that aren't going to qualify, but could.
Class as well, yeah.
Yeah, that could throw a banana skin over somebody who's hoping to get to Old Trafford. I agree with Steph. We saw Tex Hoy who went to Castleford and it kind of resurrected, not his career, but it resurrected his playing style. Frawley might just be the same. Might have the same effect on Frawley. He could just click and it works for him, and he lives up to the I'm going to say it again, the potential that he hasn't shown so far. But yeah, I agree with Steph. I think the tighter ground, there was more noise there because it's smaller ground. And let's not forget, we talked about Warrington's injuries at length. Huddersfield have had their fair few injuries this season, and we're just starting to get a few back. Wigan didn't have French, but I thought Eckersley was superb. That was absolutely superb. And he's a real dilemma for Wigan, I think, what they do with him, because not Eckersley, Farrimond, because he is a player, and they have to make a decision on Jack Farrimond before too long what they're going to do with him. I think there'll be a lot of Super League clubs snapping at the heels, wanting to snap up Jack Farrimond. But yeah, it was a great game, and Huddersfield, you think 2 minutes from the end of a cup final is gutting. 8 seconds from the end of beating Wigan must be absolutely shattering. So, I was disappointed. I'm not a Huddersfield fan, but fair play to them. They played well. That could be the result. Although they got beat, that could be the result that kickstarts their season for them.
Certainly gives them belief. There's no doubt about that. And I think every fan other than Wigan fans would have felt nothing but sorry for Huddersfield. I think half the Wigan fans probably did as well. The hardcore maybe not, but certainly I think half the Wigan fans would probably think they got away with one, and Huddersfield probably deserved the 2 points. But a really good effort, and just so that everybody who's playing along knows, and one Reggie quote off a line on Reggie Bingo tonight, just letting everybody know that is where I am in terms of his catchphrases. I'm just one off a line. Right.
Which one are you missing, mate?
You know, mate?
Which one are you missing?
Oh, I can't tell you that. That'll be cheating. Anyway, right, okay. We're gonna do the rest of the news in the usual fashion. So we're gonna say goodbye to my old mucker Reggie. We're gonna bring in Mr. Sale. Mr. Sale, 1 minute on this man, Lachlan Lamb. It would appear he remains a leopard for the foreseeable. Both Derek Bowman and his dad coming out saying Lockie going nowhere. Pretty much certainty. Good news for the Leopards.
Yeah, rumoured to be a 2-year deal till 2027. Hinting at maybe being announced at Catalan this weekend as well. So that'll be interesting. But no, he's had his critics, but even from Leigh fans this season. But yeah, he sits on top of the try assist chart. We saw against Wakefield, what Lachlan's capable of, and I think he would have been disappointed with his earlier form. But to still be, to get to the top of the assist table in Super League is not a mean feat. There's some very, very good halfbacks in the Super League who are nowhere near him. So it's a massive asset for Leigh to keep hold of Lachlan. Obviously, big interest from Hull KR as well has been reported. Maybe the Tyrone May things. One of the reasons that this has come about so quickly as well. So yeah, really good news for Leigh. This is banging news for the Leopards.
Yeah, it is banging news, absolutely banging news for the Leopards. We say goodbye to Steph. We bring back in Greg, and Callum Watkins. He's following in the footsteps of Ryan Hall. He's going to go around again for 2026. Hanging a banging for the Leeds Rhinos, this one, Greg?
Banging. He's still a great player. He's experienced. He knows his way around the rugby pitch. He is still a class player. So I think this is an absolute banging deal for Leeds. And, he, as you say, with Mark Sneed, with kind of teaching the youngsters a few things, I think Callum Watkins has probably got that same role at Leeds as well, with some of the younger players coming through. So, yeah, a banging deal. And I think Dawn's give away the line you're missing, mate. So I'm going to leave it for a while.
Dawn's giving away the line that I'm missing.
Yeah, for your bingo.
Oh, for the bingo. Oh, maybe. I don't know. We'll keep that. Right. For 1 week only, I'm going to get involved in hanging and banging. I've seen a lot of talk with regards to this young man. As somebody who watches Warrington's reserves, I've watched this man now for his development over the last few seasons. There's been a lot of people guessing about him in terms of Tom Whitehead going to Hull KR. And I've listened to other podcasts as well, and they've slightly got his position wrong and other things. So I thought, I'll use my insider knowledge to tell you a little bit about Tom Whitehead and what you're getting, Robins fans. This kid is a talent. There's no doubt about that. He's a real good prospect. Only 22 years of age. Now, you've got to remember, Minchella's 29. He predominantly plays loose forward. That's his position. He's a back row. He's not a prop. He's a back row. He plays predominantly at loose. He's got a good eye for a try, but he's got good feet, he's got good hands, he's got good leg drive as well in terms of post-contact meters. He is, without doubt, a very, very solid player. He's probably one for the medium term. Of course, nobody's budging Elliot Minchella from 13, but I'll tell you now, if they can mould this lad, this is the heir apparent to Elliot Minchella. There's no doubt about that. Now, people are upset at Warrington about this lad moving. I think the problem that Warrington have got is, and I think, Wigan, Saints, Leeds, other teams may have had this problem. Warrington have got so many young kids coming through at the moment. They're having to be very sensible in terms of finances, who they're keeping, who they're letting go. There's a lot of talent in the pool at Warrington, and they're really having to manage that. Now, unfortunately for Tom, he's been moved on. It could come back and bite him. How many players have come back and bit Warrington over the years? Gareth O'Brien, case in point. There's more alongside him. But just thought I'd put the record straight with regards to this guy, because I know a lot of the Robins fans don't know much about him. Watch Salford. I know a lot of our members watch Salford. Watch all the games anyway. If you watch this kid week in, week out for Salford, you're going to see he's a really, really good player. And for me, like I say, a really, really good prospect for the future. Could be the heir apparent for Elliot Minchella. So that's for all of our Robins members who might not know about him. I know a lot about him because I've seen him play a lot over the last couple of years. So you've got a good one there, providing you carry on his development and his nurture. Right, we bring Steph back. Steph, welcome back. Jack Murchie, gone. We've already done Frawley. 17 appearances in 2 seasons. It's fair to say that Jack's time at the Giants has been what? Hanging a banging.
When he's played really well. I've really liked Murchie as a player, and he can score a try as well. I know whenever I've asked Joel for a try scorer in the past, he's always tipped Murchie to get over. But what I would say is, and I've said it numerous times about quota players, your quota players have to play and they have to add value. You can't have them on decent money and sat on the sidelines not playing. In terms of his overall, I would say it's got to be hanging, because otherwise they wouldn't be letting him go.
Yeah, they haven't announced what for. Might be a bit of home. I don't know. I think there's something going on there. They haven't really gone into detail, but yeah, I have to say, I expected more from Jack. I know he's been injured. But I think when you look back on his time at the Giants,
there's a player there. He's putting some very good performances, but you've got to be playing, 20, 23, 24 games a season as a quota player. It's as simple as that.
It's unfortunately, mate, he's hanging. I'm sorry. Good player, but his time at the Giants, unfortunately, has been probably hanging. Right, we bring Mr. Nixon back. Greg, Ben Garcia. The Biff came at a price. The Biff was back. Did he get away with one, though? 4 matches. 28 points, let's not forget that. So he's in a lot of trouble if he does anything else this season. But 4 matches.
Yeah. He's got to keep his nose clean, Annie. I think he probably has got away with it. I think most people are expecting 6. I think, as we were saying, I think in Final Whistle, 10, 15 years ago, the referee says, pack it in, lads, let's carry on. But times are different. We've seen longer bans handed out for less.
Yeah.
Let's say that. I think as somebody put on social media, that opens up, or could have, I'm not going to say it, could open up potential for players just to take justice into their own hands. They're only going to get 4 games. It's worth taking a swing at someone. That was what a few people have put on social media. For me, yeah, he's got away. He's got away with it. He's got away lightly there. 4 games, definitely.
Yeah, I think so. Hanging, absolutely hanging for the Cat. No doubt about that whatsoever. They need him. And unfortunately, he let them down. Not something that we've said a lot about Ben Garcia on Super League Raw over the years.
It's so out of character. He plays the game on the edge. And he is well versed in the dark arts, is Mr. Garcia. But
hey, there you go. The dark arts is coming. There's me line going for a full house as we bring Mr. Sale back in. Steph, Zach Wolford signs on for 2 more years. Came in, of course, this year on a bit of a trial basis. I think he's worthy of that 2-year contract. Do you?
Oh, 100%. This is absolutely banging for Huddersfield. He's been, like I was saying about a quota player coming in and having an impact. Yes, he's had an injury, but I remember seeing his first game when he played Warrington at the beginning of the season. He had a really, really solid debut. But I thought he was fantastic against Wigan. He put a right shot in. I think it was on in December. Does all the hard work, but also can control that ruck really well as well. So that's a player Huddersfield can build on now for the future. They've got the 9. This is absolutely banging news for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, guys, getting into the detail on this one. What a performance. What a performance from this lad at the weekend. He did, I'm trying to find it, about 47 tackles. Didn't miss one. 47 tackles. It says there, is he the perfect 9 for the Giants? I think he probably is, because I think the Giants need a good defensive hooker. Because that's they just need that. That's what they need at this moment in time, and he delivers.
He's a Mickey Mack, isn't he? He's their Mickey Mack.
But he got two assists at the weekend as well. I think that's great business. Great business for the Giants. I'm sure Greg Roach and Joel and all the guys, Ryan, really pleased with what he's done this season thus far. Great bit of business that from Luke Robinson. And then we bring back in Mr. Nixon as we go for our full house. Sam Walters earns a 4-year contract. How good has Sam Walters been this season before his injury for Wigan? Deserving of the 4 years, Greg?
Oh, yeah, 4 years is a long time, but, he's still quite young. I'm not going to say it. He's been a revelation, hasn't he, this season? I think the injury he had was it last season he had the injury that set him back quite a bit?
Yeah, he was out. He was out and then came back for the semi, wasn't it? The semi-final where he scored a hat-trick against Leeds. Sorry, Steph.
Yeah, that's right. He is a great player, and he fits that Wigan mould. And Wigan are the team that will get the most out of him. So I think that's an absolutely banging deal for Wigan.
Yeah,
because they're going to use Burn. They're going to lose Burn next season to Warrington. So he's I've got a lot of time for Sam Walters. If he gets his head right, sometimes he can be a little hot-headed. Sometimes he can get a little bit carried away. Wigan's the right place where they'll sort that out for him. And I think this is, that's a great deal for Wigan and a great deal for the kid himself.
Yeah, Dawn Baker, Craig Forth, Wigan Warriors fans, Sean Adams not far behind them. Absolutely delighted. Who'd have thought Sam Walters prop forward?
Exactly.
What a revelation he's been in that position this season. And again, out of adversity, and we've said this so many times as we bring Steph back in, we've said this many, many times, out of adversity, sometimes you discover something, you just discover something. And Sam Walters playing front row, revelation.
Yeah, I was just chuckling away to Phil's comment there saying he'll be good when he grows a bit.
That's what I was laughing at.
Yeah, he's a big lad. Well done, Phil.
No,
well
great news for Wigan. He's been brilliant.
Yeah, happy days. Right, guys, before we get on to the Nixon report, it'd be a miss of us. No, we're not going to give the score away, and please don't give the score away in the chat. You've been brilliant. Don't give the score away. Don't be Sky Sports. There'll be people watching now who have not watched State of Origin 2. We have. We're not going to give the score away. But what we are going to say, gentlemen, is what a game of rugby league that was. Without giving away the score, be very, very careful. But, Greg, that is why Origin continues to be the showpiece game of rugby league.
Absolutely sensational. Absolutely sensational. It had absolutely everything. It was edge of the seat stuff. No matter, that's what rugby league is all about. No matter which team you were shouting for, you were on the edge of your seat. It had drama. It was a wonderful, wonderful game of rugby league. It really was. I enjoyed every second of it.
The mad thing
while I was on my conference call at work.
Well, mate, absolutely, and I don't blame you. But the thing is, Steph, right? I mean, yes, over here we pick a side. You're even a maroon or you're a blue, and you do, but you haven't really. You're not bought into it as much, really, because it's an Australian thing, isn't it? But you just get drawn into it, don't you? I mean, you do. You start the game thinking, you sit back on your sofa, you get your brew because it's 11 o'clock in the morning on a weekday or whatever it is, and you sit down, you put your feet up on your little, your little poof. You just put your yes, you know what I'm saying. You just put your feet up. You take it easy. You give the dog a nice bone. You go, right. Let's watch a game of Origin. This is going to be a nice 2 hours for me. And slowly but surely, you start edging to the edge of your sofa, don't you? It's just one of those games, isn't it?
Well, I think it is for most people who watch this show, because it doesn't matter whether you're invested in it. What you're watching is the pinnacle of rugby league. It's the greatest game you'll ever witness. Forget Ashes. That pales into significance in terms of Origin. Origin is the best rugby league players on the planet going toe to toe. So nothing else comes close to it, and that's why, as a rugby league fan, this is why everybody loves watching it, and because you're not going to see any better, and it's the best players in the world.
Absolutely. Phil, we're not going to give it away. We're not giving it away. And please, people in the chat, let's have a bit of respect. Don't give it away. All I will say to you, Phil, when you watch this, my mate, what a game of rugby league. Absolutely outstanding. Absolutely.
And can I say one more thing, Dave?
Go for it.
The production that went behind that was superb. Absolutely superb. And then the game finishes, Sky whip it off, put live tennis on. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't talk to me about Sky, because this weekend again, they're doing reruns and highlights of Super League games on Super League Plus when live games are playing. I mean, and yet you can go on the red button to watch them. Just get them on the channel. Oh, it's mind blowing. Absolutely, my Greg, you're right. Some incredible hits. Great. It had everything. Everything. It had everything. Phil, I'm going to give you one spoiler. It doesn't end 0-0. There's great tries. There's great tries. There's great hits. It's just
the weather added to it as well.
The weather added to it.
The point on that is, and it won't give anything away, but the level that game was played at, considering it was throwing it down as well, it would have been very easy for it to be a knock-on-a-thon or whatever. The quality was unbelievable considering the conditions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Ollie, you're right. Wolf Mother were rock and roll, mate. Rock and roll.
And as always, our members in the chat, if you're not a member there, we'll get the QR code back up in a moment. If you read the chat, our members, best investment they've ever made, come and be a part of Super League Raw. Get your opportunity on the captain's run, get your opportunity on the final whistle. Wonderful community. More on that a little bit later. But now it is time for Mr. Nixon and the Nixon Report.
Okay, we've got to go there. We've got to rip that plaster off. We've got to talk about the Leeds Rhinos against the Warrington Wolves. The Leeds Rhinos, they went into this game on Sunday in 7th. They were actually looking for the first win of the season. And I think we all know that they racked up a record-breaking score to beat the Warrington Wolves, who are now sadly anchored to the foot of the table. Ebony Stead led the way. She had 4 touchdowns. Sophie Nuttall, Evie Cousins, cross for a hat-trick each, as well as Izzy Northrop, Ella Donnelly and Lucy Murray getting 2 each. There were lots of other scorers in that game. It's the highest margin of victory for any Leeds Rhinos rugby league team, and it actually eclipsed the men's 106-10 defeat of Swinton in the Challenge Cup about 24 years ago. This has sparked a lot of negativity towards the women's game in general on social media, and that's the last thing that the game needs at this minute. We need people to support it. Yes, there are one-sided games, but we are just at the beginning of this journey with Women's Rugby League, and we need to get behind it. We need to support it. Again, a big thanks to Bazza and his mates who came along to watch my youngest play, Hull KR. And I think they'll be the first to say they were really impressed by the standard. It was under 14s, girls rugby, and they were impressed by the standard, by the skills on show. So come on, let's not be negative. It's easy to be negative. There's been a lot of female athletes in the news this week talking about negativity on social media. It has to stop, and we have to get behind it. We have to support it. And, you have to feel for the people at Warrington, because the coaches are a great bunch of coaches having to deal with rebuilding the team after what happened last season. So let's get behind, not just Warrington, but let's get behind Women's Rugby League in general and get supporting it. Enough of that, because elsewhere, York Valkyrie put a dent in Leeds' impressive start to the season. They had a 26-0 win at the Sports Village. Lee might have thought they had a chance to cause a bit of an upset in this game, because York lost Jess Sharp and Kelsey Gentles, who are big players in the women's game. I think just in the last week before the game. But they brought in French, and that's not easy to say with these teeth, French international Sarah Minard, who she stepped up the plate and had an absolutely awesome performance. Even more impressive, though, for York was Agnes Wood. She was on dual reg at Sheffield Eagles last season, and she had a first start, but she had an absolutely fantastic game. But hats off to Lee. They were nilled, but it wasn't as one-sided as the game sounds, because, Hattie Dogus and Alice Fisher, they went close really early on to opening the score. But great defence from York kept them out, and then Izzy Bibby just capitalised on a couple of Lee mistakes on about 20 minutes to set Valkyrie on the way in that game. And then, Saints, they'd have been smarting from that Challenge Cup defeat. They made a few changes against Barrow. They actually went 6-0 down early on in that game. They had Naomi Williams at prop, Amy Taylor in the halves. And they had Erin Stott at centre, and they fought their way back into the game and went in leading 8-6 at half-time, and then took full control in the second half, and they ran out comfortable winners, 40 points to 6 in that one. But again, Barrow have impressed this season. They impressed against Warrington, and they've impressed a few times in defeat. this season, have Barrow. So good luck to them for the rest of the season. And the other game saw the season's leading scorers, Amelia Brown of Huddersfield and Eva Hunter of Wigan, face each other at Lawn Hill over in Huddersfield. And it was Eva who came out on top in that battle. She added 2 more to a tally to take it to 9 for the season as the Challenge Cup winners ran out 58-0. So, this weekend, we've got league leaders. These I've really got to fix these teeth. League leaders Wigan, who face the Leopards in their first derby clash of the season. That's at Robin Park. Kick-off at 2 p.m. Get down to that if you can. That's going to be a great game. And Leeds take on Barrow. The Giants are at home to York. And I'm afraid things don't get much easier for Wire, who travel to the Totally Wicked Stadium to face St Helens on Saturday. That's a 2 p.m. kick-off. That's just an hour before the men's team kick off at home to the Giants at the Halliwell Jones. You really couldn't make it up, could you? And that's the Nixon report for this week. Thanks, everyone.
As always, sir, wonderful fare. Thanks for bringing us through to that. So, yeah, try and get yourselves down to a Super League, a women's Super League game this weekend if you can. You can see there, Give Your Head a Wobble is on its way. Before we go to that, let's give a couple of shout outs to some friends of ours here at Super League Raw. Congratulations to our good friend Mr. Lingard, who's Sheffield Eagles. Really good game away, 28-22 at the weekend. And also to Mark Applegarth, who backed up an 1895 Cup win against league leaders Bradford Bulls. They were top of the league alongside Toulouse Olympic. They went to the Bulls and they won 20 points to 18. A massive win for Mark Applegarth's York Knights. That takes them now up to 3rd. I have to say, it's a real good ding-dong going on there in the Championship. Shame that more of those games aren't shown on the TV, it has to be said. But I think when we get into the business end of the season, we might get a bit closer to the Championship. And like I say, massive congratulations to our friends Mark and to Craig. We are keeping an eye on it, boys. I told you that we would. You're doing really well indeed. Right, it's that time of the week that a lot of people look forward to these days. Time to wobble.
Give your head a wobble.
So, yes, it's time for Give Your Head a Wobble. Now, as it says there, ladies and gentlemen, this is just for fun. Yes, it's, it's the 0.1% of fan. No, sorry, what did it say? No 0.1% of fans were hurt during this production. We know that this is just, keyboard warriors, but they're out there. So we're going to have a bit of fun. And we're going to start off, again, giving nothing away, Phil, nothing away. But right off the back of what was arguably a brilliant State of Origin 2, Mike Mehall Wood said, rugby league is great even when it's rubbish. And my word, that was rubbish. Right, lad. Jog on. Oh, dear me. Clearly not a rugby league fan in any way, shape or form. Unbelievable. Thank you to Billy Ingram, who made his debut on the final whistle, but he also used the WhatsApp group to post something for tonight's show, and I felt it had to be used. The Lot Pod, a podcast of the Leeds Rhinos, said that Keenan Palacia is the best prop in Super League. Ooh. Oh, dearie. Well, if that's the standard of punditry, I don't think I'll be tuning into that one. Deary me. Oh, my life. Now, staying with the Leeds Rhinos momentarily, of course, it's been announced today that Sam Walters has signed a 4-year contract with the Wigan Warriors to keep him there till 2029, ladies and gentlemen. And Pete Beaumont, a Leeds Rhinos fan, he thought he'd celebrate the occasion by saying that Sam Walters is a show pony. Mate, he was. I tell you now, when he was playing at prop this year, arguably top 5 in the league. It's arguably SASA at the time was purring. Thompson's class. Walmsley's been making meters for fun this year, but those games that Walters played in, I tell you, revelation, absolute revelation. Right, we now go actually to the Wigan Warriors on the production of the Man of Steel table that had Jake Connor sitting proudly in first place. Andy Ed A Wigan Warriors fan said, it exposes the Man of Steel approach for it so fast. Connor topped by a mile as he stands out as player of a very average team. He went on to say he's not even in the top 20 players in the league this season. Oh, dude. Mate, come on. Even the most ardent Jake Connor fan can't hear what Reggie, mate, you're on mute, Chief.
Would that be the fairly average team that beat Wigan?
Yeah, mate. Honestly, unbelievable. Right, we now go to Bar Dearden. Bar Dearden, a St. Helens fan, who was that giddy after the team's brilliant performance against the Salford Red Devils that he went on to declare that it was the best performance of any team this season. Well done, Saints. Outstanding. Now, I hope he's being facetious there. I hope he is. But, dear me, he actually...
I hope he isn't.
Yeah, but in the feed, it appeared that he wasn't. So
I don't think he is.
No, honestly, I was just like, wow. So, Bar, mate. Bar. Maybe he's been to too many bars. Maybe he's had a couple of shandies. I don't know. But certainly not the best performance of the season. Right. Oh, now it's an interesting one. Don't quite understand this actually. Stuart Atkin, a Swinton Lions fan. Don't know what the beef is between Swinton and Wakefield. But after seeing what was arguably the tie of the round, I mean, it really was a class game between, Huddersfield, Wigan as well, I think, yeah. But it was a belting game between Wakey and between Lee. He went out to say that Wakefield are back to being a poor man's Huddersfield. Now, I'm not laughing at Huddersfield. It's the fact that what planet is he on there where Wakefield's concerned? I mean, Wakefield have been brilliant. Unbelievable stuff.
Doing brilliant in that game as well.
Oh, dear God. It's like unbelievable. Right, now, Greg, strap yourself into your chair because this one, you're going to be in fits of laughter on this one. This comes all the way from Australia off the back of the State of Origin game today. David Kerr, a Newcastle Knights fan. David, if you're watching all the way down there in the Southern Hemisphere, good evening to you, sir. This is just for fun, but you did say this. So let's do it. Super League commentators are better than Australian. They actually commentate on the game. What? No idiotic bull. Andrew Johns, Brad Fittler, even the women do a better job. I don't think so. I really don't. I pressed the mute button, I'll be honest, on certain commentaries. David, mate.
Wow.
That is a top five. At the end of the season, if we do a league table of the top five give you a wobbles, that is a contender. That is an absolute contender.
Okay, Dave. We'll swap you.
Happy days.
We'll swap you. We'll have
Don't
over here, mate.
Don't know what you've got till it's gone.
We'll have Rossi and you can have Wingfield Hill straight away. That's a transfer I'd happily do. Get on with that, no doubt.
Or Stuart Pike.
Stuart Pike.
We'll give you Stuart Pike. We'll have Andrew Voss.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, and Dave is available for commentary on Sky. But anyway, that's by the by. Right, and then finally, but not least, Warrington Wolves fan Adam Heaps New. I always get worried when you see New after a name on Facebook, don't you? But here it comes. He's got in. Serious questions need to be asked about Sam Burgess' future. George Williams offers nothing as well, along with 90% of the team. I wonder if Adam was at Wembley. Probably.
Yeah.
Adam, come on, mate. Come on. Yes, it's bad. But hey, we did a programme here at Super League Raw going into the cup final. George Williams' win percentage for Warrington. Mate, you can't come out with a comment like that if you don't know your detail.
I'll be honest, I preferred Adam Heaps old.
Good line. Love it. Absolutely love it. That is outstanding. Outstanding, Mr. Sale. So anyway, there you go. Deb's saying even the women. I agree with that. You know, you can have good women commentators, Deb. It's just the Sky don't currently have one. But
Jodie Cunningham is fantastic.
Yeah, Jodie's
She's really good.
Jodie's a good pundit, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But come on, what a shocking line. But yeah, there you go. I think a lot of people have enjoyed Give Your Head a Wobble for another week. It will, of course, be back as long as those keyboard warriors are talking absolute dribble online. Super League Raw will be there to give you the best of every single week. And speaking of the best of, let's see who is the best of Super League in round number 14 as we do Team of the Week. Team of the Week. is sponsored by the Good Estate Agent. With an average turnaround time of 3 weeks, if you want your house sold quickly, then contact Stefan today on 01942 356 577. Quote Super League Raw for 33% off. It's the Super League Raw Team of the Week for round number 14 with the Good Estate Agent 2025. Here we go again. At fullback is the man with a Maximus performance. Whilst his team may have ultimately been murdered by the Leopards on Sunday, he will have his vengeance in this life or the next. Gladiatorial Jowett at 2, just like Tate and Lyle. Kyle Belt produced a golden performance against the Red Devils. His hands were sticking to the ball like syrup. Will someone toss me a pancake? At 3 is Jack Broadbent of the Robins, and just like his name suggests, he played with wit and speed and ran devious lines that had the Dragons wishing they'd stayed at home and played Patang at Bernard's Chateau. At 4, and how do you like your marmalade? Well, with Harry Robertson it doesn't matter, as his tries are shredless and silky, whilst his assists have bits of the most famous centres that have donned the Vedby shirt, and yes, he had the Red Devils on toast. At 5 is Noah Booth, whose catch and pass to set up Jack Broadbent was as delicious as watching Catherine Zeta-Jones dodge laser beams in entrapment with Sean Connery watching on. Press the rewind button, folks. At 6 is Jake Connor. If he was an opal fruit, he would have been promoted from lime or lemon to strawberry or blackcurrant. Whilst he may be a bit tart on the taste buds for some, for us this season, he has been pure refreshment. At 7 is Tyrone May of the Robins. It is often said that he goes unnoticed. Who can forget plain Jane Superbrain? But hey, one day, Tyrone, you'll take those glasses off, don a prom dress, and everybody will look again and realise what Mike would have been missing. At 8 is Big Tom Mamone, who put Big Herman SASA firmly in his place at the MKM Stadium. He was punching that many holes in the black and whites. I thought I was watching a pack of polos at the end, running around the field. Oh, and it was a minty fresh performance. At 9 is Zach Wolford of the Huddersfield Giants. Yes, he may have a questionable furry lip, but his hits were as hard as a lobster's exoskeleton and more enjoyable than Cliff Richard and the Shadows, you could say. Daddy's home, and yes, he's staying. At 10, it's no Jennifer, Alison or Philippa, but Sue. Yes, Jessie Sue. The Dragons may need a little time to get over Sue's domination on their middle unit. And as for Joel Tompkins, Sue ensured, old Red Eyes is back. 11 is Morgan Gannon, who, just like the classic car, produced a performance of detail, character and class. The kinetic design of this purpley grafted second row simply exuded devastating movement, whilst his ergonomics could put leads in touching distance of the grand final. At 12 is James Batchelor, who once more proved why he's the only eligible Bachelor for the Dream Team. FC have simply bought an action figure for 2026 that is a small miniature replica of the real thing. And finally, at 13 is the resurgent Cameron Smith of the Leeds Rhinos, who impaled the Wolves on his horn to devastating effect. Leeds fans will let Paul Vaughan keep his terraced chant because they would rather have the horn of Keverty. That is Cameron Smith, ladies and gentlemen. This is your Team of the Week for round number 14. Yes, nothing beats a Team of the Week like Super League Raw's Team of the Week. And there it is. I hope you enjoyed some of those little cunning linguistic gems of mine, boys. Right, what are you making of that one, Mr. Sale?
Yeah, we've already mentioned Wolford's impact at 9 for Huddersfield. I thought he had a fantastic game and well-deserved to be the hooker in this team. I thought Max Jarrett was brilliant for Wakefield as well, well-deserved. We mentioned the fullbacks, didn't we, in in captain's run? Loads of different fullback comparisons, but Jarrett was outstanding at fullback this week, and I think Broadbent's still really impressing, isn't he, for KR? He's doing such a good job for them. What a signing he's been in that utility role that he's playing, be it fullback, centre. He's outstanding wherever he goes, and I thought Tyrone May again was brilliant in that win over Catalan. Everything seemed to go through him and outshone Mikey in this one, which is great for him, and obviously celebrating his new contract as well.
Greg, I mean, I did a bit of a pun on Tyrone there. Just to clarify, people of a certain age, there was a character called Jane in Neighbours back in the late 80s. She was a bit plain, And then there was an episode where she took her glasses off, she put a prom dress on, and her boyfriend Mike suddenly realised he had a bit of a gem. And in fairness to Willie Peters, in his pre-match press conference today that was released, he actually says, somebody turned around and tried to present the fact that Mike is allowing Tyrone to play his best rugby, and Willie Peters stopped it dead and went, actually, it's the opposite.
Absolutely stopped him dead, yeah. Because at Wembley, Tyrone May was a standout half. There's been a lot said about Mikey Lewis at Wembley. A lot of it's unfair, but Tyrone May was the outstanding half for Hull KR at Wembley. Her boyfriend was Guy Pearce, if for those nerds out there. I'm still trying to work out what ergonomics means, mate. But
ergonomics. So that again, culling linguist, right? So ergonomics. Cars are designed with ergonomics. It's so that all of the main controls in the car are at your fingertip. That's what it means. So his ergonomics might put them in touching distance of the grand final. That's clever, that, mate. That's clever, that.
It is. I thought it was a star sign. Anyway, good to see Cameron Smith coming back into form. I'm a big fan of Cameron Smith. On his day, he's a devastating player, and he was absolutely awesome on Saturday. I've got to agree with that. And I am now going to Dave. Fill your bingo card. Jakey boy is being allowed to play his own.
That's going down. That's definitely going down. He's being told to play do what he wants. Just do what he wants.
Do what he wants.
Play your own game. Play your own game. Oh, there's another one. Hey, I'm almost a full house there. Reggie Bingo.
Shouts out to Don Baker for reminding me of what I'd missed out there in the chat. Yeah.
Outstanding.
I think Batchelor being in there as well. I mean, he's had a fantastic season, and he's been asked to play a lot of roles, centre, second row.
Absolutely.
He's had a great season.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. I mean, we've already talked about Zach Wolford. I have to say it. I thought Gannon again was. I mean, I said the week before how he was 18. He must have been injured because Gannon, for me, he's playing that well this season. He asked to play for the Rhinos. He was class.
He's absolute class
Player. And I'd tell you, I was delighted for. And I think again we might have spoke about this in Round Unpacked, Steph. Is Cameron Smith. Smith coming for and Mark Earl and Alex, facts are facts. The amount of pelters Cameron Smith was getting last season because he was helping out in the halves. That's what he was doing. And he's come back and we know Cam Smith's a 13. He's a loose, that's his position. He's come back. He's playing in his rightful roles in the team. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we had him a contender for a dream. He was dream team contender for us at 13. It's great to see that Cameron Smith has come back from injury, the player that we know that he is, and playing some great rugby league. I'm absolutely over the moon. And considering they beat Warrington, there you go. That goes to show where, me being very open and very fair. Cameron Smith, I take me off to you, mate. Well done. Great to have him back on the Super League field. I think he's a class player.
Yeah, and you can tell Leeds have got the spine back now because it takes that pressure off him and allows him just to play his own game. And I think on Gannon as well, we talked about Matty Nicholson earlier. I think he's got the potential to replicate what Nicholson's done. I really think he's that good of a player. And in that NRL environment, he should shine. And let's be fair, most of our back rowers and props who go over there do really well. So it's looking good for him.
Yep, it is, absolutely. So that is our official team of the week for round number 14, ladies and gentlemen. Another one in the record books as we now switch our attention to the goal fort.
Ooh, pass me a cucumber sandwich.
I know what you're all thinking. Were the cucumber sandwiches good in the hospitality section of the grounds this week? Let me tell you, yeah, they were. Right, okie dokie, let's get into some of this detail. And we'll start with the Casford game against FC. Cine scored on all three scorecards, ours, and no arguments with that. I think nobody would argue with that. Lewis Senior got 2 Albert Goldthorpe points. Yes, he knocked went through 4 players like they were Skittles, which was more about the defence than his run. That gets more interesting, though, when I tell you what I'm going to tell you in a minute. But before I get to what I'm going to tell you in a minute with regards to that, Assy got a point. Sort of see that. Thought Assy had a decent game again. Some Hull FC players came out with points in that. Barron got a point in the goal fort. Yeah, Martin absolutely outplayed him. Don't get that. So Martin, 2 great tries. I thought his composure for his second when he had his interplay with Davey Litton. I thought that was class. Absolutely.
Yeah, great try. Yeah.
Made good meters on the day. So if they were going to give it to one of the wingers in an FC shirt, I thought that's where it'd have been. And then Zach Hardacre got a point. Now, don't get me wrong, Hardacre did a lot of good defensive work, but again, no. But anyway, let's stick with the Goldthorpe. So Harvey Barron got a point. Okay, Harvey Barron got a point. I've already told you Lewis Senior got 2, and I've already told you that Cine got a point on all scorecards, which means that Tom Amone did not get a single point in the Albert Goldthorpe.
Crazy. Best game of Mode's had this since he's come back. By a mile as well.
By a country mile. Right, we move to the KR game. Surprise. Now, look, we can breathe a huge sigh of relief, ladies and gentlemen, because you'll be pleased to know not a single Dragons player got a point. So it's a good start. It's a good start. Tyrone May got points on all scorecards. We gave him man of the match. Goldthorpe gave him 2. Manasteel gave him 1. I thought that was rightly so. Broadbent got man of the match at Goldthorpe. We gave him 2. Sue got 2 Manasteel. We gave him 1. Man of the match for the Manasteel was James Batchelor. I don't think he was man of the match.
No, good game. Played well.
Yeah, cracking game, but
I'm not against that. I can sort of see it, sort of. So I'm not filthy on that one.
surprised Garcia didn't get a point for taking 3 Hull KR players out with 1 punch. That's worth a point.
Well, yeah, bring the biff back. Yeah.
It's worth a point.
Yeah, bring the biff back. Right, let's go to the Giants game. The Giants against the Wigan Warriors. Right, so Wolford got points in them all. He got 3 Manasteel points, and he got, and I'll say Steve Prescott Manasteel points. 3 of those, and 3 we gave him 3. He got 1 in the Albert Goldthorpe. Goulding, I told you, Goulding, we gave him a point. Manasteel gave him 2. I can see that. Goulding, 34 tackles in the game, 103 metres from 18 carries. I said that on Round Unpacked. Got no issue with that. We gave him a point. They gave him 2. Didn't get any Goldthorpe points. Goldthorpe, gee, dear me. We'll come back to that in a minute. Wigan got some points. We'll come back to the big one in a minute. Cade Ellis got a point in the Manasteel. Again, I get that. 45 tackles from Cade Ellis. And 20 carries for 117. Again, he's got to be in contention for 13 for Dream Team. He's having a really good season, Cade Ellis. Farriman got a couple in the Albert Goldthorpe. But here we go. Right. Joe Greenwood got 3 points in the Goldthorpe. Did anybody see Joe Greenwood as the man of the match for the Huddersfield Giants?
No, I wouldn't be surprised if he got a point. I thought he had a solid game, Greenwood.
Man of the
Scored a try.
He wasn't man of the match. Anyway,
he scored a try. And he did. Don't get me wrong, you put yourself about, but man of the match? No, I'm sorry, but no. Right, we go to the Leeds-Warrington game. Now, Warrington, this is interesting. The Goldthorpe gave Josh Fulis 2. Now, Fulis had a great game, but come on. Even the most.
Do you know what? I'm
you would.
Yeah, but I thought Fulis was superb.
He was, but
given that he was peppered and he was targeted. I thought Fulis had a great game. He really did.
I agree with you. He weren't top.
There was three better Leeds players.
There were 3 better Leeds players than him. But I agree, Fulis and Curry, probably the best 2 players in the Warrington shirt. No argument with that at all. Should they have got points? Probably not. Goldthorpe gave Connor 3. We gave him 2. The Manasteel gave him 2. That's because we and the Manasteel gave Gannon 3. That's where we saw it. We and the Manasteel gave Cameron Smith 1. And the Goldthorpe gave Brodie Croft 1. Yeah, not so sure.
It's not ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous, but again, not 100% on that.
Probably Croft's best game of the season so far.
He's growing. Saints. This is an interesting one. So the Goldthorpe didn't give Felt a single point. He was man of the match by a street. How can you not give man of the match to Felt, who's just come back from injury, scored 4 tries, 2 tackle busts, ran the ball 13 times, making 163 metres when pretty much all 4 of his tries were just drop over the lines. He did 4 clean breaks in the game as well. Didn't even get a point. Both us and the Manasteel gave him 3. They gave 3 to Sailor, 4 assists. We gave Sailor 2, Manasteel gave Sailor 2. So no issue with Sailor getting points. Oh, God. Manasteel gave Walmsley a point. Again, no issue with that. We gave Harry Robertson a point, 2 tries and an assist. The Goldthorpe gave Dagnall 2. You couldn't make it up. You just couldn't. You couldn't make it up.
I don't think they're on cucumber butties.
Mate,
It's
just honestly. And then last but not least, let's go to Trinity. We gave Jowett man of the match. Man of Steel gave him 2. Albert Goldthorpe gave him 1. Who won this game? Lee.
Lee.
Lee won this game. So yeah, but again, nonsense, absolute nonsense. This. So 3 to Jowett we gave, 2 to Jowett, Man of Steel, 1 to Jowett. I'm sorry, but anyway. But anyway, there you go. Because actually, is it nonsense? Is it nonsense? Often Gary got a point for this Man of Steel.
He played well.
But McMeekin completely. McMeekin and Fiatilli did more meters, carried the ball harder. Yes, again, he scored a try. Yeah. Which again I don't get, because if you actually look at it pound for pound, both McMeekin and you could say pound for pound, he got a try that was decisive towards the win, and I get that. But I always say, if a prop forward gets a try, it's a bit of a bonus. They're there to tackle bust, they're there to run the ball as hard as they can, as many times as they can, and put a shift in defence. And both Fiatilli and McMeekin outdid Offengawi in defence as well. So I just don't get that. They gave Armstrong 2, Steph. We didn't give him a point. No. We went McNamara and Lamb. I thought Armstrong was all right. He scored. He took his tries well, but I didn't think he was top 3 on the part. Did you?
No, he scored 2 very good tries, and he did really well. I thought both fullbacks did really well. But I would say McNamara was 2 weeks on the bounce. He's got the man of the match for Lee. But yeah, Lamb was decent as well. So.
He was. But anyway, there you go. That's the Goldthorpe and the Man of Steel for another week. Right, no Joel tonight, so we're going to quickly run through this one. The podium for the season ticket, Stuart Scaife still remains top of the shop. I think Stu's a Leeds fan. Alan Bagley, he's got his replica shirt position, and Neil Ormston is getting a Super League Raw hoodie for 2026. But things can change on that. This is the way the league table looks. And as you can see there, Stu, Alan and Neil. Then Alan again with his second team. David Moore is in 5th. 6th place is Stephen Broomfield. Then Neil with his second team. Then we've got Liam Ganner. Liam Cannon. Yeah. Stuart Scaife again. And then I think Stu's got to get out more, quite frankly. But no, he's doing well. He's our Stu. And then Steve Hadley. So at the moment, Rhinos are winning with Wolves in second and they're in second, third, and fourth. Then it's KR, Leopards, Wolves again, Leeds, and Leopards. They're the ones that are doing really well in the Fantasy League. Well done. We'll keep you posted on that. Don't forget, you need to do your teams and your transfers before 12 o'clock. Tomorrow. Right, let's do a little bit of Super League Raw business. Right, starting with this. We announced this last week. There is the QR code. If you're listening to this on a podcast, then get to our website, www.superleagueraw.com. The second Ashes game at Everton is a sellout. It's all over and done unless you win our competition for 2 tickets for the England-Australia Game 2. If you're a member, of course, you get your automatic entries as per your membership. But if you want to increase your chances and improve Grassroots Rugby League, give Super League Raw the opportunity of helping out Grassroots Rugby League in 2026, then you can go to our website and you can get 10 entries for £10. 10 entries for £10. All funds will be donated back in to Grassroots Rugby League, probably sponsorship, things like that at the start of next season. So it's your opportunity to give back and have yourselves the opportunity of getting yourself to the new Everton Stadium. I'm getting a bit of applaudits for my quiz night last night. Thank you very much, Oliver. Very much appreciate that in the chat. Speaking of quiz nights, we've had to put it back a week. We don't want to clash with an official function at Warrington. They're doing an official function on the 25th. We didn't want to clash with that. So we put it back a week. Ladies and gentlemen, what are you doing on Wednesday, the 2nd of July? There's only one place to be if you live in Warrington, Lee, Wigan, Saints, Salford, local areas. We get Wigan fans there. We get Lee fans there. This is where you need to be. So there you go, the Super League Raw Quiz Night in association with our sponsors, the Bluebell, Wednesday, the 2nd of July. All questions, multiple choice. You've just seen the advertisement there. All questions, multiple choice. They all link back to Rugby League. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a flavour. So last night at the Warrington Wolves Quiz Night, I asked this question, and it was a belter. Yeah, every year in Wigan, there is the pie eating championships. Of course there is. What is the fastest time recorded for somebody to eat a meat and potato pie? The answer was 17 seconds. So as you say, always link back to Rugby League in some way, shape or form. Get yourself down to the Bluebell on the 2nd of July. All welcome. Like I say, it'll be a great, great night. Why not make a night of it? Get there a little bit early. Have your dinner. Award-winning food as well at the Bluebell. You will have a great night. If you've not decided to join the membership already, here's another reason why you should join the membership. This year, we are going to the grand final bigger and badder than ever. Because we are a community, it allows me to get better seats at the grand final. I'm in discussions with the Rugby Football League to get better seats at the grand final. So discounted seats for our members. So they've basically gone to our website, members only. If you buy a ticket as a member, I'll refund it back. And you're not a member, I will refund it you back. Only members are getting these tickets. So the members have now started to buy their grand final tickets for 33 quid. And those tickets will be worth a lot more. So like I say, that is what being a part of this community does. It gives us buying strength when we go to things like the grand final and challenge cups. So get involved, become a member. Free tickets, giveaways as well. We've just talked about the England against Australia. There'll be tickets coming up for the grand final separately. You really do, folks, need to get to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful community. That is my pitch for another week over. Boys did do a good job.
Superb.
Thank you.
Wasn't bad, mate. Wasn't bad.
Thank you very much. I have potential, Greg. Right, okay, we move on to where we currently are with the Predictions League. And here you can see at the bottom, Joel Scholes again having a week of quality. 19 points from the Scholes. He's now only 2 behind the non-members. He is creeping up every week. The members, 16 points for them. Then it was myself, Greg, and Steph with 14 points. Earl and the non-members bagging 11. So at the moment, the members still lead the Nixon by 2, but beware of the Scholes. He is well and truly on the way. For the non-members, apologies, I haven't had the time yet to upload onto our website your opportunity to get involved. That will be happening first thing in the morning. So get to our website. I'll post it all over socials. Make sure you cast your votes well before, of course, kick-off on Thursday night. They'll be there. And thank you to everybody, of course, who continues to get involved in our Predictions League. Boys, the members are having us this year. They're doing a very, very good job indeed.
Yeah, fair play to them.
Yeah, brilliant job by them. It's a big score, that as well. You know, there's some big gap between top and bottom there.
I can't even remember what the winning score was last year, but I think that I don't think it was 422. So that's probably a record. And you, Mr. Nixon, as well. I have to say they're 2 at this stage of the season. They're 2 massive scores. So well,
I think I've been the wooden spooner for the last 3 years. So
I didn't want to mention that, mate. I didn't want to mention that. You're now getting vertigo, mate. You're now getting vertigo. Right, okay, let's get into. Yeah, always been a U2 fan, haven't you? Right, let's get into the games this weekend.
That's last week's.
Is that last week's? Oh, that's last week's. My apologies. What's going on there? Tell you what, that's a shocker. I have downloaded it. I know I have. Surely.
Otherwise, I need to rearrange my flights.
Yeah, you need to do I thought I'd download. I'm not.
Can you get many flights to Wakefield, mate?
That one?
You can, yeah.
Hey, there you go, with her. There you go. Right, here we go. This is this weekend. Well done. Good spot, Steph. I obviously didn't upload the photo. Right, here we go. So we've got Castleford Tigers taking on Hull KR. Now, for those of you who are new to Super League Raw, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock live, the Captain's Run, where we will get into the detail of these games. We'll do full analysis. We'll pick out some key stats for you going into the game, take you right up to the Sky Sports production at 7:30, a full night of Rugby League Captain's Run live on YouTube tomorrow night. You really do need to be there for that. And I do believe, Mr. Sale, that we might be having an international Captain's Run.
Yeah, it should be live from Perpignan, hopefully. So
live from Perpignan. Absolutely outstanding stuff. Right, okay. Then on Friday, great double header, these two. Great double header, these two. I think these two could be belters. Saints going up against Leeds. Can Saints beat a team that's above them? There's a question. We'll find that out because they've been having a lot of trouble doing that, as we know. So this is going to be a big test for Saints, and they're missing some key personnel. Batchel out now as well. Whitby out. Of course, they're already missing Wellesby and Percival. Those two massive blows, as is Whitby actually. That you've got to say they've got a couple of key players out now of the Saints, and Wakey up against Wigan. I mean, and at Wakey. Oof, that could be a good game, that boys. Then it's it's the Giants against Warrington. Nothing in that. That should be a belting game. Then of course, Steph, his Lee Leopards and a big crowd as well. Let's give a lot of tribute to the league. How many's going, Steph?
Well, unofficial. Official tickets is about 2,500, but they reckon there's going to be nearly 3 there.
That's a great effort. 3,000 Leopards. Be the Roarers in Perpignan. And Steph's going to be there with his selfie stick, doing a few lives potentially for the Super League Raw community. Go on, Steph, lad. Catalan against the Leopards on Saturday night, 5:30. And then finally bringing the curtain down is Salford taking on Hull FC. So those are the games this week, gentlemen. Let's have a chat about them as we do here on the show. Let's go. Let's have the chat. Starting with tomorrow's night's game, Castleford Tigers, Hull KR. You would expect KR to win. I mean, I said last week we were going to learn a bit about KR. I think you're learning more about KR with every passing week. That was a statement win to back up the Challenge Cup final with an absolute, I mean, as bad as Catalan were, and they were bad, KR are exceptional. I mean, to put any, I mean, we've got to remember that they're not playing a Catalan team that has got kids playing for them. Like, I'm sorry again, Matt, but it's fact. Salford, yeah? They're playing pretty much Catalan's starting team and rolling them. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, and that should be getting the pie eaters well and truly spilling the odd potato out the pie because, the hands must be shaking, as they're going for their 17-second attempt. But anyway, that's by the pie.
By the pie.
By the pie, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, I like that one, yeah, by the pie. But yeah, Castleford, look, great win against FC, a confidence win. They may have, they're on about bolstering the front line. That's not been announced yet. We'll wait for that. We'll probably talk about that next week. Any new signing is unlikely. Well, will not be playing, of course, tomorrow night. Castleford Tigers should go into this feeling confident, but they're coming up against the juggernaut. Steph will let you kick off. Who's winning and by what score?
Yeah, Cass coming off a really, really impressive performance against FC and should be taking quite a lot of confidence against that. Cass are getting better as the season's going on, which is brilliant, and also going to be adding to that team as well, which is great for them. Unfortunately, they're coming up against KR, who are without doubt the best team in the competition at the moment, and the problem is they're not just brilliant in attack; they're amazing in defence as well, and the tries what the Cass scored against FC, I just can't see them scoring against KR. I do see KR putting a few tries on Castleford. So I think it's going to be 18 plus for KR for me, but I don't think it's going to be a massacre. I think, I'm looking at 26-4, maybe something like that. I think Castle put in a really good performance, but I think KR is just going to have too much for them.
So you're going 18 plus, Greg?
Yeah, KR, as Steph rightly says, are the informed team. What a performance against Catalan last week. Catalan lost a player in the first half when they were down to 11 at one point in that game. Castleford is a tight ground, and Hull KR like to be expansive. You sometimes find with cup winners that they have a roll the game after, and then it hits them the week after, and they're down. They come down to earth. I'm not saying that's going to happen to KR. I think KR will win, but I think Castleford's win at Hull last week will be a big confidence boost for them. So I'm going KR, but 9-17. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 18 plus, as Steph says. It might be a 22 difference, but I think 9-17 because I think you win at Wembley, you're on a high the week after, and then it all kicks in, and there's a bit of deflation. And Castleford is a nice tight ground. It's a horrible ground to go to if you're an away team. So I think 9-17 KR.
Right, let's get some of the members. Let's have a quick look and see what the members are saying in there. Right, okie dokie. We've got Stuart Melton. He's saying KR 18 plus. Dawn Kirkby's gone 9-17 KR. As is Andy Bevan. Carla Collier 18 plus. Phil Webster 18 plus as well. Stuart Melton's going 32-6 to KR. Craig Forth 18 plus. Nicola Burtonwood. She did give us a few kisses earlier on. Good evening, Nick. 9-17. I think Nick was actually in the titles this week as well. God bless her. Nigel Wood going Rovers 9-17.
Nigel Wood.
I don't know. Probably not, I would say. 9-7. I'm going 18 plus. I just can't. I can't not. Scoring for fun. Great defence. Need we say more? Right, we move on to the two belters. Let's start. Where are we going to start? Let's start Wakey. Wakey against Wigan. Should be a belting game, this one, Reggie.
Yeah.
It would be some scalp. It would be, I mean, the lad on Give You Head a Wobble who said, Wakey of a poor man's Huddersfield, he'd be eating a bit of humble pie, speaking of pies, wouldn't he, if Wakey were to do this. But it's not beyond the realms. It's not beyond the realms.
Oh, is it?
Wigan played against Huddersfield. How do you see it going and why? And where do you see the score, mate?
Wakefield have been exceptional this season, as I think lots of us predicted. I think, though, that game against Huddersfield was probably the kick up the backside that Wigan needed if they were getting complacent. If Matty B ever lets his players get complacent.
Oh, he won't be happy,
he won't be happy. And Wigan are the team that bounce back from results like that. I'm going to go Wigan 9-17.
Fair enough, mate. Steph, where do you see it?
Well, yeah, on the flip side of that, I think Daryl Powell will be smarting from that loss against Lee. Letting Lee come back into it, and after outscoring him in that second period.
Thompson's back for Wigan. That's a bonus for him.
It is, and Bevan French will be back, won't he? I think for this one. So that's two massive players for Wigan coming back into it. I'm going to go Wakefield 1-8.
Whoa. Wakey wants to. I'm going with you, Reggie. I'm going 9-17. The Pies. Carla Collier, Wigan 1-8. Dawn Kirkby 9-17 to Wigan. Ben Macklin, Wigan 9-17. Good evening, Ben. John O, Wigan 1-8 for him. Andrew Robertson agreeing with you, Steph. Seeing Wakey might cause a shock here 1-8. As Bazza Kingston, Wakey 1-8. I think Bazza's hoping, praying, doing his Hail Marys, doing his R5. He's a good Catholic lad, isn't he? He's Bazza. He says, but yeah, he's okay. Ian Rispin, there's a surprise. He's gone way as well.
Funny that
they're all at it, aren't they? The Robins there, hey, they're proper going for it. There, divine inspiration. But hey, you could be right. Like I say, I'm going to go Wigan 9-17. Now we go to Saints against Leeds, gents. Saints have had a terrible run against top opposition in terms of teams ahead of them. They have now got some, for me, real key players out. Whitby has been a revelation. Robertson's only just come back into the squad, so you've got to bear that into mind. Wellesby's a huge loss. He's the talisman, isn't he? And, of course, Percival, who, let's be fair, is a Rolls Royce of a centre. I mean, he's still got it as Mark Percival. So they're big names missing. And we've got to bear that into and Leeds are in great form, playing wonderful rugby league, so... Greg, can you see Saints doing this, or do you think this could be another statement from Leeds and them really cementing that top six position?
We had a big conversation earlier on about Warrington's injuries, and we took the mickey last season about Saints injuries a little bit not because of us, but because of the way it was reported in the media. They've got some big names missing. Leeds were superb in that second half against Warrington. And I think Rhinos are going to take this 1-8. I think Saints at home will always put up a great performance. They get players that come in and fill that gap. But I think Rhinos 1-8 for this one.
Fair play, Steph.
Yeah, I don't think Leeds' record at the Totally Wicked is all that good. It's something ridiculous, like they've only won one game out of 15, and Alex Sharp's probably pulling his hair out there. I've got that completely wrong, but I know it's definitely in the Saints' favour, but not this weekend. Leeds are going to do him 9-17.
9-17, the Rhinos. I'm going Leeds 9-17. I think I've got to go that way. Phil Webster's gone the same. Obviously, Alex is quite rightly saying they have got the best forward in Super League in Palacia, so he'll be doing some damage against Worms. Don't worry about that. For anybody joining the podcast late, I don't really mean that. That's just something that a podcast said somewhere. Mm-hmm. Nonsense. Ian Rispin leads 1-8. Andrew Robertson leads 18+. Andy's going big. Nicola Burtonwood leads 9-17. Bazza Saints 1-8. Whoever leads in the league? The third. That'll be why. Bazza just edging his bets there again. Nigel Bennett leads 9-17. Ben Macklin leads 18+. Carla Colley leads 9-17. Alex Sharp leads 1-8. Back in his club. Good to see.
There you go. 3 in the last 19. Alex is
3 in the last 19.
Well,
there you
go. Crazy.
Yeah, well, stats are there to be broken. Right, okay. We then move on to the Saturday fixtures. You know what? I know. It's us, isn't it? It's us next. It's us next. How do I forget that? It's us next. Forgettable, clearly. Warrington against Huddersfield, gents. Starting the Saturday games off. We've talked at length about Warrington. We'll talk at length about this game as part of the captain's run. No Clune, that's a massive blow. Frawley expected to come in, so that's an interesting factor. Steph, did you see enough from Huddersfield to suggest they're going to go to the Halliwell Jones Stadium and really, really pile the pressure on?
Yeah, well, they went toe to toe with Wigan with only they had Bevan French out and they had Thompson out, which is, as you already said, 2 big players. But even so, the quality of that Wigan team far exceeds what Warrington's able to put on the pitch at the moment. So there's no reason why Huddersfield can't take massive pride from that and confidence. And Warrington are doing it very tough, as we've discussed at length. So the big one is Clune missing and how Frawley fits in. But wouldn't it just be typical that he goes there and puts in an absolute blinding performance against Wire? So I'm going to go Huddersfield 1-8.
Yeah. Greg?
We've got a lot of injuries. Don't know if it's been mentioned. Sneed and Williams aren't quite firing at this moment in time. They will do, and when they do, watch out. But it's going to be. We're going to have probably Jake Thewlis and Josh Thewlis playing in this one. Probably going to be some reserves on the bench. Probably. Huddersfield was superb against Wigan and were really, really unlucky last weekend. Frawley, the Texhoy factor. I think Frawley could well have a big influence on this game. They've got some players back, and I'm going Giants 1-8.
Greg is going against his side. I'm going to hope and pray for a Warrington 1-8. Phil Webster's going wide Golden Point. Andy Bevan, Huddersfield 9-17. It's a big one. I'm not going to tell you what Joel said, actually. So he's gone KR 9-17, Leeds 9-17, Wigan 9-17. Then he actually realised that there's more numbers than 9-17. He then went the Giants 1-8. Good evening, Mr. Scholes. I hope that candle is burning brightly, sir. And I don't know. It's a good job he likes me. Anyway, Stu Melton going wide 9-17, Ben 1-8 to the Wire. Greg Roach, Warrington need to win. And he's going Wire 9-17. I believe we've got Mr. Roach joining us now, which would be very nice to see Mr. Roach at the weekend. Nigel Bennett, Giants 1-8. Bazza Kingston, Wire 1-8. Nick Burton, Wire 1-8. Rolstag Thompson, Warrington 1-8. And Alex Sharp, he's going Huddersfield 1-8. That will do for those. Right now, let's just quickly bat these ones away. Saying that, though, Steph's about to tell us all the reasons why, Lee can't take this for granted. We'll play Steph bingo for a minute. Lee can't take this for granted. They haven't got many injuries, and I'm only joking, Steph. Greg, Catalan, Lee, what's your thoughts?
18+, Lee.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Men's at the ready. Are we playing Steph bingo or not? Here we go. Steph,
Everybody's
Lee,
got the
Catalan.
dabbers.
Lee Catalan, off we go.
Well, Lee Catalan is normally very close. In terms of everything, it's normally a very, very close game. And Catalan is a cauldron, and it's going to be a literal cauldron on Saturday night. It's going to be 35 degrees at kickoff, so it's going to be absolutely roasting. But Lee are going to win 9-17.
Well done. Good man. Mate, I'll be honest with you, mate. I'm going to go Lee. I'm going to go 18 plus.
I hope it is.
I'm going to go 18 plus. I really am.
Easy, mate.
I think I'm going to go Lee 18 plus. I've got to do that. In the chat, well, very few people are getting involved in the Lee debate. I think there you go. Alex Sharp saying.
I think Greg Roach is on the cherry already.
Greg Roach, Steph Catalan hit rock bottom last week. Catalan 1-8. Roll Stag Lee 18 plus. Lee 25 plus. Andy Bevan, Andy Bibby Catalan 9-17. Tough conditions, Lee 97. Look, Carl's, hey up, Carl. Carl Shaw's with us. Carl Shaw, hey up, Carl. 9-17. He's going. Ian Rispin, Lee 18 plus. And then lastly, Salford taking on FC. FC to bounce back, Steph, do you think?
I'd go Salford 1-8.
Are you?
No. I'm going to go FC 9-17.
FC 9-17. Greg?
FC 18 plus.
Yeah, I'm going 18 plus. I'm going 18 plus. Joel's gone Lee 18 plus, and he's gone FC 18 plus as well. Just so the members know, the official one at this stage is Robbins 18 plus for the members, Leeds 9-17, Wigan 9-17, Giants 1-8, Lee 18 plus, and FC 18 plus. That's the way the members have gone. Craig Forth in the chat 18 plus, 18. Jono 18 plus, Bazza Kingston, Salford 1-8. Wonder why that is. Dawn Kirkby. Dawn Kirkby knows the rugby league. She should be on the Robin pod.
Yeah,
shouldn't she? They should aim higher.
Well, she's quite tall.
But it's funny now. Baz can't type quick enough. He's getting all flustered in his cabinet. You know what I mean? Trying to get the words out. Good lad, Bazza. Oh, happy days. Lovely stuff. Well, look, we've got the captain's run tomorrow. For those who don't know, we know all these people. So it's not that we're actually, doing anything untoward. We're all friends here at Super League Raw. It's only members we pull the legs off, because let me tell you now, they pull ours in the WhatsApp chat. It's all good fun and sport. Come and be a part of it. If you think this has been good banter, you should get in the WhatsApp group. That's where we do call banter. And I have to say, it would be a miss of me, Mr. Sale, not to say your post, mate, was exceptional. Beer lemonade, absolute comedy gold. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've not seen Steph's post, you need to get on our socials and see his beer lemonade video referee analysis. It is one of the funniest things you're going to see this season, posted during the game on the WhatsApp group, and I was rolling in tears. It was legend, Mr. Sale, legend.
Well, you've got to do it for the fans, haven't you?
You've got to do it for the fans. There's more where that come from. I'm absolutely sure.
We see what comes from Catalan this weekend.
Absolutely.
Oh, Lord.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, that could get interesting. If it's anything like Covent Garden, it could get very. You're all right. You've got your little here. He'll be behaving himself this weekend.
Absolutely.
He's got, anyway, yeah. Huddersfield against Warrington, of course, we're going to be there. Joel Scholes, he's coming down. We believe Greg Roach is coming down. If you're at the Warrington Wolves Huddersfield Giants game, keep your eyes peeled for Super League Raw. Come and say hello, come and have a photo. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be on our titles, get your photographs taken and make sure you post them on our socials. We do put a post out every week. Just basically put it in the comments of that post, and you could be seeing yourself on the titles this time next week. Right, as you know, it's a fluid beast, is Super League Raw. Next week, yours truly is doing a night shift, 10 till 7 in the morning. So Super League Raw Weekly will be at 7 o'clock. 7 p.m. start on Tuesday, not 8. That allows me to fulfill both sides. So 7 o'clock, not 8 o'clock, but we're back to Tuesday night next week. As always, enjoy your rugby league. Phil, my old mucker, enjoy that Origin game. It's an absolute belter. We will be back next week. Captain's Run tomorrow, live at 6. We'll see you there. For myself and the lads, thanks for your company. See you next week. You can't beat a bit of weekly. Bye for now.
Au revoir.
Here are your top performers after 14 rounds of the Betfred Super League. The most tries scored this season thus far, Jay Field of the Wigan Warriors with 16. whilst the most try assists have come from the opposite side of the borough, Lachlan Lamb of the Lee Leopards with 21. The most metres made have come from Liam Marshall of the Wigan Warriors, 2,306, whilst the most clean breaks have come from Mikey Lewis of Hull KR with 20. The top tackler continues to be Ollie Partington of the Catalan Dragons, 598, whilst the most tackle buffs have come from Junior Insemba of the Wigan Warriors with 86. The most hard metres made in Super League have come from Alex Walmsley of St Helens, 1,812, whilst the most offloads have come from Davita Pangai Jr. of the Catalan Dragons with 29. And finally, hanging on to the top goal kicker thus far is Adam Kieran of Wigan Warriors with 49. These are your top performers after 14 rounds of the Betfred Super League.